up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is LexxisNoelle, for those of you that do not know me. And in today's video, I am doing a Q&A. I asked you guys to ask me some questions on my Instagram, my regular Instagram, and my mommy Instagram account. And I didn't get a lot, but I got a couple, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer them, okay? Because I actually got some really good ones. Hold on, I have them here on my phone. The first one is, how old were you when you had your son? So I got pregnant at 19, I had him at 20, and I am currently 21. How did you manage being in college while pregnant? This one is a really hard one. I'm not gonna say it was easy at all, because it was not, baby. I lived in the dorm for like the first 5 months of my pregnancy. Then I was scrambling, trying to find a place before my son was born. I also worked 2 jobs and was going to school full time. So it was a lot. I think at the end of the day, what got me through is just knowing my goals, knowing where I'm trying to, you know, get to, and who I'm doing it for and what I'm doing it for. And it was very difficult. Make sure you use your resources, and please do not be like me. Honestly, I didn't even tell my parents I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant. And before that, I was stressing myself out because I was like, I can't tell them until I got everything figured out. And it was just like every single time I thought that I had a plan, I had a place or whatever, something would fall through and it wasn't working out. But when I told my parents, it was like this huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders, and I was able to get through it fairly easy after that point. Like the rest of my pregnancy was super chill after that point. Next question. How did you find out you were pregnant? Me finding out that I was pregnant is low-key like a funny, sad, and like emotional story. So basically, the months leading up to me finding out I was pregnant, I was having some reproductive health issues. I'm not going to go too in depth with that, but needless to say, I was told that I wasn't going to be able to have kids, and they had me trying to explore my options in terms of like freezing my eggs and IVF and surrogacy and all that type of stuff. Not because I was trying to have a baby right then and there, but just because it just so happened to come up with what I was dealing with. So I was super stressed out, super sad about that, because if you know me, you know, like, I've been around kids pretty much my whole entire life. I've been taking care of people's kids since I was 6 years old, literally. So to think that like I wasn't gonna be able to have my own kids, it really did make me very sad. So I was like low-key depressed and everything like that. I didn't even tell anybody what I was going through. The only person that knew was my son's dad, and even then, like, I didn't want to bother him with it too much because he had his own things going on. So I kind of just kept everything to myself, real private. And I was supposed to get IUD. It was supposed to help me. They were saying it was supposed to help me with what I had going on. So I was supposed to get an IUD at the end of December 2018. And when I had to wait till my period came. So my period came like a week later. It wasn't really a period, I was pregnant. My period came like a week later, and I was on vacation at the time, so I couldn't go to my doctor. So they were like, oh, it's okay, we'll just wait till your next period, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, the day that I came back from vacation, his dad and I went to a party, and he had gotten shot. Y'all, that's a whole nother story within itself. But basically, when it happened, I could not go to the hospital right away with him. So I had to stay at the scene or whatever, and his mother figure showed up, and she texted me, and she's like, pray. And I'm like, pray for what? Because his wound looked like it was just a graze. And at first, everybody was like, oh, it's just a graze, you'll be all right. I was like, look, we about to stop at CVS, Walgreens on the way home. I'm gonna clean it out, put a bandage on it real good, you'll be all right. Well, a couple minutes after that happened, he passed out. And mind you, this whole time, like, it wasn't really bleeding. It was just a couple drips and drops here and there. And so according to him, when he got into the ambulance, for some reason, like, it was bleeding profusely. And when he got to the hospital, it still was. And come to find out, the bullet had barely missed his carotid artery by like a centimeter. And so but at the time, they didn't know. Like, they didn't know if it did nick it or if it didn't, or how far it was, whatever the case was, they didn't know. So she texted me, she's like, pray. She was like, this is, you know, it's getting serious now. Because at first, when we was texting her, we were just like, oh, like, it's just a graze, he'll be all right. Even the paramedic was like, it's just a graze, he'll be all right. So after she texted me that, I started getting this random thought, like, I'm pregnant and the child of, my child's father is like about to die. Like, that's all I kept thinking. And I'm like, bro, why am I thinking that? Because one, I'm like, I can't get pregnant. Two, I'm not pregnant. And three, he's not about to die. Because I'm like, maybe she just don't know what she's talking about, because she wasn't there. She didn't see it. You know, she had just got to the hospital. I'm like, maybe something else is going on. So I'm like, why do I keep having this thought? The days following that, I kept having this dream. And in this dream, I kept, it was like me, and I was over this little boy. It was a baby. I was over this baby, and I was playing with him. And the baby actually looks exactly like my son, but I didn't know it was my child at the time. So I'm like, who's pregnant? Like, who around me is pregnant? Nobody. I'm asking everybody. I'm like, you pregnant? You pregnant? You pregnant? Because I had a lot of other friends and stuff that was pregnant at the time. And you know, so I'm asking everybody. I'm like, who's pregnant? They're like, I'm not pregnant. You pregnant? I'm like, hell no, I'm not pregnant. Because I'm like, I can't get pregnant. Not that they knew that, because like I said, the only person that knew was his dad. But in my head, every time somebody was like, you pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. Like, I can't be pregnant. So then I kept having this dream all month. My period was supposed to start, according to my little calendar, on January 27th. Okay, now that was a Tuesday, and I keep having this dream. And so one day I go to Target. It was the Friday before, and I stopped by, I walked past the pregnancy test aisle. I doubled back. I was like, let me get one just in case. I was like, I know it's far-fetched, not only because I thought that I couldn't get pregnant, but also because I hadn't been having sex. So I got the test, and when I got home, his aunt, I guess you can call her, she called me out of nowhere, and she was like just kind of like beating around the bush, and it was kind of like she was trying to ask me if I was pregnant, but she didn't like want to, you know, directly ask. And so we get off the phone. I'm like, bro, like, like, I don't know, that conversation was just weird. I'm like, why was she acting like that and stuff? And so it made me want to take the test. So I took the test, and I was reading the instructions and everything. This test made 0 sense, y'all, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. But the test made 0 sense, and so I took it. It was negative. I'm like, okay, cool, negative test. Days go by. Here comes Tuesday, and he actually had come into town because he had moved to the area where my school was. So he had come into town for some job interviews, and I picked him up, and I knew as soon as he got there, he was gonna want to have sex, because like I said, like, we hadn't really had sex or nothing like that. And so I sorry y'all if y'all hear that sound, it's my milk fridge anyway. But so I knew as soon as he got there, he was gonna want to have sex. I didn't want to have sex because it was kind of like a switch went off from the day that my son was conceived throughout the rest of my pregnancy, that like made me not want to have sex anymore. And I don't know if it was like my body's way of telling me that I could not have sex while I was pregnant. Like, I literally couldn't. It put me and my son's life at risk, or what the case was. But it was just like, I was so uninterested in sex. I couldn't watch sex on TV, listening to it in music. Like, sex just disgusted me during that time. So I go pick him up. Sure enough, like I said, he wanted to have sex, and I'm like, nah. I'm like, I'm about to start my period, blah blah blah. So he's like, all right. Then later on that day comes, and he's like, are you sure? He's like, because your period hasn't started yet. He was like, you know, if we had sex, like, your period would start or whatever. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. So we had sex, and I'm like, okay, great, my period's about to start. I'm not gonna have to worry about it for the rest of the week, and by then he would be going anyway. So sure enough, like right after I start having cramps, my breast gets sore. So I'm like, all right, cool, period's about to start. Next day come, wake up for class, period still hasn't started, but I'm having cramps and everything like that. I get back to my room, and he was just waking up, and he was like, dang, he was like, all I see on my timeline is pregnant girls and newborn babies. And I started joking, and I was like, ha ha ha, when you think my period gonna start? And he like, your period hasn't started yet? I'm like, nah. He was like, bro, you pregnant? And I'm like, you know as well as I know, like, I can't get pregnant right now. So then I went inside of the bathroom, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I already know I'm not pregnant. Like, I got cramps, my breast hurt. I took the test. The test was negative. I'm like, I'm good, I'm not pregnant, you know, whatever. But then I went and googled the test, because like I said, the test was mad confusing. Not only did, so it didn't say how many drops to put on the test, one. Two, it didn't say, the time frame was just really weird. Like, it basically was like, don't read anything past 10 minutes. But you know, most tests say read it between 3 to 5 minutes, and then anything after that, you know, you can expect like evaporation lines and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, like something was not right about that test. So I go out, look it up, and sure enough, in the comment or in the reviews or whatever, it's a whole lot of women saying they got false positives, false negatives, like they just got all of these false results. And you know, they walk around here thinking they weren't pregnant, and they ended up really being pregnant, and they was doing all of this stuff because they didn't know they was pregnant because they took that test and the test said that it was negative or whatever the case was. So I'm like, bro, what if the test is wrong? Like, what if it was wrong? So excuse me. So next day comes, which is Thursday, and we were gonna go back home that day when I got out of class that afternoon. But I was just really anxious that day, and my period still hadn't come, and I was just super anxious. And so I went to the store. I told him I was going to get school supplies, which I was. So I go to the store, and I get a test. I couldn't even wait. I go to Walmart, take the test in the Walmart bathroom. My first instinct, because of everything that was going on with me, was to try to make me a doctor's appointment, because with what was going on, like, it could have been dangerous, like literally dangerous, if I got pregnant. And so I was like freaking out. I go and I called the clinic that I thought I was supposed to be going to, because my my stepmom had changed my primary care, and like with my insurance you got to get a referral and everything. So I tried to call the clinic that I thought she switched it to, but it wasn't the one. So I called her and I was like, hey, I was like, you know, do you know what clinic I'm supposed to go to? And I lied to her and told her that like I thought I had food poisoning, or not like food poisoning, but like that I had some stomach virus or whatever that was going on around school. So we called an insurance company. They tell us where I was supposed to go or whatever. And so I called them, but come to find out, y'all, this place was closed from Friday through Monday. They were only open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and their appointments were like 3 months out. And I'm like, yeah, no, like I don't have 3 months to be fooling around with these people, okay? So the next day I went to the emergency room because I knew I could get a referral through the emergency room. And then I called the insurance company back on Monday, and I told them that they needed to switch me the thing. So when I went to the emergency room, they told me that I was pregnant. That was a whole nother story within itself, because that was a bunch of drama. But they told me I was pregnant. They gave me the referral, called the insurance company, then boom boom pow. That's how I found out I was pregnant. I went to my appointment, and the crazy thing is, about when I went to my appointment, everything that they said was going on, and this is why I truly believe my son was like a miracle baby or something, because everything that they said that was going on was gone. Like, it was gone. The doctors couldn't even believe it at first, because I had my scans sent over from my old doctor. I had all my scans and medical records and everything sent over, and they were like, bro, either they got your, like, they literally told me, they was like, they must have got your stuff mixed up with somebody else, because everything was gone. Like, everything that would have hindered me from having a child was gone. And so I really truly believe like my son was like some miracle child. Although I wasn't prepared for him to come when he did, I feel like, you know, it definitely was for good reason, because there's no way that I should have been able to have a child. Anyway, next question. Did you breastfeed, and how was your experience? My experience with breastfeeding has been really bittersweet, because for one, it was very hard getting my son to latch, and I really feel like I didn't have proper resources, I guess you can say. Like the lactation consultants and stuff that I went to, they were just like, oh, just put him on, he'll latch. And he wouldn't latch. I had flat nipples at first, so that definitely played a role in why he wouldn't latch, and I didn't know what to do for it. They didn't tell me about a nipple shield or anything like that, so I didn't find out about a nipple shield until he was probably like 3 or 4 months. And even still, like, we just had a hard time. So I've been exclusively pumping. And that's been really hard because, you know, when you exclusively pump, like, you have to be really consistent. And so my supply has seen a lot of dips. Like right now I'm in a dip because I'm barely pumping like 2 ounces of milk at a time. So we've been supplementing with formula. He only drinks 2 bottles a day now that he's getting ready to be 1. So I mean, yeah, it's been definitely a bittersweet experience. The few times that I was able to get him to latch and I was able to breastfeed him, it definitely was a great feeling. Like as a mom, as a breastfeeding mom, like to have that moment with your child, it's a very good feeling and bonding experience. And yeah, so the next question is, what made you want to do Montessori? So on my channel, you guys do not know that I've been trying to convert to Montessorianism or Montessoriism. I don't know, I can never say that word. I'm about to be a Montessori mama, okay? On my channel, y'all don't know that yet. I'm trying to make a video about the changes and stuff that I have made to accommodate for that, but I have been documenting my journey and experience a little bit on my Instagram stories. So yeah, that's how this person knows about that. But what made me want to do it, so I always said that I wanted to send my children to Montessori school. However, there's not very many Montessori schools where I live. 2 Montessori schools can get really pricey. From what I've seen, most schools charge about like $4,000 to $5,000, I think, like a semester, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know, it's expensive. And so then that was how I started looking into Montessori at home. And I'm really trying to get my son to be a lot more independent, because right now he can't do anything without me, y'all. And it hasn't helped. Like, it was getting better, but now that we've been in quarantine and I've been home every day and stuff like that, he's just gotten way too attached. And so I've been trying to get him to be a lot more independent. So we started converting to Montessori when he was around 9 months. He's 11 months now, so we've been doing it for about like 2 months now. But I'm just now really getting immersed in it. Like when he was around 9 months, that was when I started really doing my research, reading books and everything like that. And then now, you know, I've changed his room. We've converted to like Montessori toys. I've been trying to like get him to do activities and stuff, well, guide his activities, but also get him to do them by himself. And that's where we're at with it right now. But like I said, I'm gonna make a whole video about that. And yeah. And then the last one, actually no, okay, the other one says, how did I cope when I found out I was pregnant? I'm not, like I said, y'all, like I was very depressed at first, and I was like very frantic because I didn't know what was going on. Like I said, like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how it was possible. I didn't think that it was possible. I was like, yo, somebody is playing with me, honey. So that was very hard. I also did feel like I let myself down a lot, because if you guys know me, like although I've always wanted to have kids, I did not want to have kids for a very, 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 very long time. So yeah, and I'm gonna be 100% real with y'all and saying that I did consider getting an abortion, just because, one, I didn't know with what I had going on how it would affect my son and his development. 2, I really was just not in a position to have a child at the time. And 3, I don't really think there's a 3rd reason. I think those are just the main 2 reasons. Well, 3 I think really has to do with like his dad and I's relationship. Like we've just had a very complicated relationship over the last like 2 years or so. So I didn't really know like how it was going to affect that and everything. But you know, I made the decision to go through with it based off of the fact that, one, I don't think I would have had it in me, truth be told. 2, with everything that I had going on, I didn't know if maybe this would be like my one chance in life to have my own child. And so yeah, I feel like those are the main things that pushed me to want to go through with it and keep going and, you know, continue the process and everything like that. So yeah, like I said, like me talking about my pregnancy is low-key like an emotional topic for me because of everything that was happened leading up to it and everything that has happened this far and like my journey with motherhood and everything like that. So it's low-key kind of an emotional topic for me, but I'm here to be transparent with you guys, and I hope that, you know, somebody can relate, somebody can you know, gain some type of clarity as to on their own journey and everything like that with me telling my own stories. All right, next question. Are you a single mom? Yes and no. Okay, his dad and I, like I said, we have a very complicated relationship. So we have been trying to work on things, but we moving how we be moving, okay? And he is very much so like a part and involved in his life. So that's all I'm gonna say about that for right now. And then the last one is, how do you deal with in-laws? First of all, I can't speak on this from a marital standpoint. I guess you're saying just like the person, your child's father or whatever the case, whoever asked this question. I guess you're saying like how you deal with their family and stuff like that. So I can't answer this question from a marital standpoint because I'm not married. But I will say, oh, hold on, he's awake. Oh, okay. But I will say that it has been very difficult because he does not have his biological family in his life. So our situation has kind of been really unique in the sense that he has family figures, I guess. And so, you know, initially things were good with them, but things definitely have gone sour with them, at least on my part. And I'm all about protecting my peace, protecting my son's peace, and, you know, our energy and everything like that. So I have chosen to remove us from that situation. But I do understand that not everybody has that luxury, and it is very much so. What's wrong? It is very much so easier for us to do that just because we're not married. Yes, sometimes I do feel bad because, you know, he doesn't have really anybody on his dad's side of his family, but at the same time, like I said, I would rather his health and well-being be first above any of that other stuff. And it has already been compromised by him going to spend time with them, which is why I've chosen us to remove ourselves from that situation. So I can't really give to a whole bunch of advice on that. I would just say do whatever you think is best for yourself and for your child. I prefer for my son not to be around toxic people, and if that's the case for you, I mean, if you have to make that decision, then I would support it 100%. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question because, like I said, like I can't answer it from a marital standpoint. Like I understand that that situation can be very much so complicated when marriage is involved. So I don't know, girl. I don't know. But yeah, that's all the questions, y'all. I hope that you guys could take something away from that. I hope you guys have gotten to get to know me a little bit more. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys comment and subscribe. Okay, make sure you subscribe. I have so much more stuff that I want to give y'all. So many more gems that I want to give y'all, and I want to share a lot more of my life with you guys. So make sure that you guys subscribe, and we will see you. Say bye. Say bye. Can you wave? Can you wave? Wait. Say we will see you in the next one.